We're going to continue the conversation about the life of Barbara Bush and a lot more. Good evening from Washington. I'm Laura Ingraham, and this is the Ingraham Angle. And we begin this evening, as I said, with continuing coverage of the passing of First Lady Barbara Bush. The former First Lady died today at her home in Houston, as Sean said, at age 92. She was one of only two women in U.S. history to be both the mother and the wife of a U.S. president. But Barbara Bush was special in so many other ways. She was down to earth and also dignified. She was elegant, and she was admired and she was loved by Americans and politicians on both sides of the aisle, which doesn't seem possible today. Tributes are pouring in from family, friends, and others whose lives she touched. Joining us tonight for a look at the legacy of this remarkably gracious and kind woman are Brett Baier, Newt Gingrich, Karl Rove, and Brit Hume. It is great to see all of you tonight on this sad night, but I want to start with you, Karl Rove. What a life, what a lady. I mean, the tributes from everybody from Bill Clinton to foreign leaders, Democrats, liberals, conservatives, and with today's politics, it's kind of refreshing all over again to hear how many people loved her so much.
Yeah, a rather formidable presence, a woman of great character, of enormous values. There's going to be a big welcoming party, I suspect, for her, but I'm sure the authorities in heaven are making certain that everybody is on their best behavior, because Mrs. Bush had an expectation that you were capable of doing good things, and she would let you know if she felt you were you could do a little bit more to achieve what she thought was possible from you. She was, I met her when I was 22, and I have a smile that could light up a room. A warmth, a respect for everyone, fun to be around, brash, smart, really smart, and capable of. Many a time I saw her like needle pointing, and you'd think that she was focused on the needle point, and then she'd inject into that conversation. You knew she'd been paying attention to every single word that you had been saying. I was supposed to have lunch with them 2 weeks ago today, and she went into the hospital on Monday, and she was a remarkable presence. And think about it, advisor to a president, her husband whom she loved dearly, met him when she was 16, fell in love with him, married together for nearly 76 years, married for 73. I mean, really,
remarkable.
And really remarkable.
Newt Gingrich.
Hard to match up that.
Newt Gingrich, one of the great things about her, and there's so many great things about her, is her. She didn't have a lot of pretense. Like when she was commenting first about becoming the vice president's wife, she said, a lot of fat, white-haired ladies who are wrinkled are tickled pink about my ascending to this role. She was just so fun. She didn't dye her hair. She didn't get a facelift. She's like, I am who I am. That is so refreshing today. Again, I use the word refreshing, but it's just, I love it.
Well, I think at one point she described herself as the nation's grandmother. And I think that sort of captured it. And she had, I think at that point she had like 25-point higher approval rating than her husband. And you know, Cliff and I were talking earlier tonight about what a remarkable couple. And also, though, I think Karl caught it right. She was ferocious. I mean, she was pleasant, she was nice, she was smart. But in terms of both her husband and her sons, but in terms of both Jeb's campaign, George W.'s campaign, there's no question she was prepared to go all out, and she was prepared to reach out to every friend she had, and she wanted the family to do well, and it did. It's a remarkable American family.
Brett.
Well, first of all, that love affair was really a lot of who she was. Love affair with H.W. Bush, 41, and with her family. Today, we're told that H.W. held her hand all day long next to her, and that she was surrounded by family, and he was right next to her when she left the earth. So I think you're seeing this family rally around each other. It was a big part of their life to be together. She said that was the most important thing in her life, and she gave a lot of commencement addresses, and one of them in Wesley College said, at the end of your life, you will never regret not having passed one more test, not winning one more verdict, or not closing one more deal. You will regret time not spent with a husband, a child, a friend, or a parent.
That's for sure. We all think that in our lives. It goes by really fast. Those are the moments. We actually have another moment from that same address at Wellesley College. Brit Hume, I want you to react to this. Let's watch.
I want to offer a new legend. The winner of the hoop race will be the first to realize her dream, not society's dreams, her own personal dream. Who knows? Somewhere out in this audience may even be someone who will one day follow in my footsteps and preside over the White House as the president's spouse, and I wish him well.
And the crowd, we cut the crowd there, but the crowd, Britt, went crazy.
Yeah,
they ended up loving it. There was
that,
controversy, though, about her appearing, but compared to what it's like today, that was 1990, and a Republican goes to a college today, it's a different reception, but they ended up loving her there.
They did, and but she was someone that people, I think, it wasn't that she was so cuddly, because she really wasn't cuddly. She was warm and she was friendly and she was outgoing, but she had standards, and you knew it when you were around her. I mean, I always felt that I better be on my best behavior around her, and she used to say, you know, apropos of her devotion to family, she used to say when she was First Lady, she used to say, what happens at your house is more important than what happens in the White House. Not a view often expressed, but one that at the time I think was taken well and was very much like her. She was very focused on family, her family in particular, but family values in particular, which may have fallen out of favor to some extent, but they never did with her.
And at one point she said, I'm worried about parents who don't parent. Just simple sayings that kind of stay with you. And Carl, there was another moment where she was talking about among the professional things that she did, or things as First Lady, was her literacy initiative that really took hold during George W.'s term. Let's watch.
I decided that I wanted to do something that would help George, that would help the most Americans possible without costing the government huge amounts of money. You can go to a hospital and read to children.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Sure, absolutely.
But I don't think many people thank me for the literacy.
And she was a little bit annoyed by that, which you don't blame her, because it's in every state. She raised tens of millions of dollars, gets famous authors like Newt Gingrich and Baier and to go and speak. And she said, I'm never going to pay you. You're doing it for free. And everyone said, you bet I'm going to do it for free, Mrs. Bush. No problem. I love the literacy. I think she does not get enough credit for that. So important. And it's family literacy that she said holds families together. Faith, family, and literacy, reading together.
Absolutely right. This was a great passion for her. And the focus was, it is your responsibility as a parent or as a friend or a family member to help someone else learn to love to read, and to do so at an early age. And it's remarkable to even today, the effort goes on in a huge fashion. I want to talk, though, quickly about one other thing. You may remember that moment when she was the First Lady of the United States, where she went to the hospital in Washington and held an AIDS baby. This was at a time when a lot of people thought that AIDS could be communicated by simply touching an individual. And so a lot of these AIDS babies were lacking human contact, and she went and did that. And it's because she wanted to set an example, and she wanted to make it clear that this is one of the things, this woman, she may have worn fake pearls, and she may have had gray hair, but she had a respect for every single human being in which she came in contact with, and expected other people to have that same kind of mutual respect for every one of God's creatures and every one of God's people. And I thought it was a powerful moment when she did that, and emblematic of this great and noble woman who served our country. She was very patriotic. She loved America deeply, and cherished the great values that we have and our freedoms, and wanted others to enjoy and respect them as well.
And Newt, she was part of the greatest generation. I mean, she and George H.W. Bush.
The whole story of their romance, of really deciding to get married but then wait, him going off to war. He, the youngest naval pilot in World War II, shot down, luckily saved by an American submarine. There's a lot to their whole lifetime. Then moving to Texas, which back then for them was a pretty radical move, running for Congress, serving as head of the CIA. I mean, everywhere he went, she went.
Mm.
Let me just say one thing about Midland, Texas.
Go ahead.
Their house in Midland, Texas, if you've ever been there, is a very modest and very, I mean, it's paper-thin walls. And at one point, they were living next door to the local prostitute with whom they shared a bathroom. I mean, this was the Wild West frontier in the late 40s and early 50s.
You know, the Secret Service.
Elegant woman from, Yeah, and
The Secret
that
Service
elegant
put
woman
out a
from
statement
Connecticut.
today.
Yeah.
And they don't usually do that, but the people who worked for the Bushes loved the Bushes. Her Secret Service name was Tranquility, her code name. And she had a certain touch. As Britt said, she could be fiery and sharp-witted. She really loved privacy. And when she left, she was hurt in '92 when Bush lost. She wanted to get back to private life. She told the story that she was in the store and some lady came up to her and said, "Wait, aren't you Barbara Bush?" And she said, "Oh, no, she's much older than me." And you know, she loved the private life.
Let's end with Britt Hume. Britt, there was a moment during the 2016 campaign that, I mean, we were just howling at earlier with my producers because Mrs. Bush was talking about what the country needs at this point. Let's watch.
You think there's room for another Bush in the White House?
I think this is a great American country, great country. And if we can't find more than 2 or 3 families to run for high office, that's silly.
It's like we got Jeb running, and Jeb's like, "Wait, Mom, what's going on here?" But she was just hilarious.
Well, she was later to change her view of that.
Yeah, I know.
As you may recall, I think Laura, in all this, we should have a particular thought for George H.W. Bush tonight. When I met him and covered his campaign back in 1980, they had been married already for 35 years. And this marriage has gone on for, what, 72, 73 years. Whenever they were together, as others have noted, but in recent years in particular, they were always holding hands. It was one of the great marriages of our time. And here he is, as late as he is in his life, with all the maladies that he's suffered, having to endure this loss. We've all lost something tonight, but he most of all. God bless him.
Yeah, absolutely. A great way to end it. And broken heart.